Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a fun movie review. I mean, they're all fun, let's be honest, but this is a movie that is beloved by many, unseen by even more. Gen Z, I'm talking to you. And we're going to talk about it. Which movie we talk about? We're talking about Space Jam, baby. Space Jam. Um, Interestingly enough, right? Here's an interesting fact. I actually tried to do YouTube like years ago, like a long time ago. My channel used to be called The Last Millennial because during that time I was looking up the age range for millennials, and apparently I think I was like 23 when I did that, and the age range was like between the ages like 42 to like 23, and so I was right at the cutoff of millennials. And I thought, oh, that's cool. It's like I'm like the last millennial, and then that's where that name came from. Still a cool name. Might do something with it later, but maybe I'll do like the Last Millennial Chronicles or like an art or like a video series on this channel. But a lot of times when I meet people who are younger than me, I always make fun of them. Like, you guys don't even know what like SpongeBob is, or like Fairy Odd Parents, New Jimmy Neutron, Invader Zim. You guys don't know shit. Excuse my French. Mom, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. But I really always like teasing people who are younger than me because I just feel like they don't know where a lot of the good stuff is. Now, to be fair, a lot of people who are older than me, you know, I never saw the movie Wrath of Khan, which is a Star Trek movie. But when I did watch it, and to be fair, I didn't like go out of my way to try to watch this movie. I was on the treadmill watching it, and it was like on TBS or something like that. After watching that movie, I was just like, holy cow, like there's like all these good movies that have come out before me, and I'm like, man, maybe I should watch more old stuff. And I'm sure a lot of the older folks or people who are older than me say like, dude, you don't even know like what you're talking about. Like, you back in our day, we had this, we had that, we had this. Um, and yeah, so I just think that's a generational thing. It's a given. Um, Space Jam. Space Jam is one of those movies, once again, that I keep trying to tell people. I don't. I Since I really haven't um, made a lot of movies, because like I'm still in the process of making my first movie, which has been kind of a headache with different things. But to to be coming near you sometime soon, who knows when that was, God willing. Um, but a lot of times I never try to like tell people about like how they should make things, primarily because I don't really have the opportunity to. But when I do, I try not to be like a pompous like know it all about it. But at the same time, I don't try to be afraid to like tell what I know, because I mean, all people of all walks of life know what they know, and I believe you can learn something from everyone. That being said, I wish more people would make more movies like this, because I feel like these are the movies that a lot of people like me, and I feel like there's a lot of people like me, even though we're all different. I think there's a lot of people, pop culture enthusiasts, the lore junkies, you know, the nerds, the geeks, all that fun stuff. I feel like hybrid movies should be the new thing that people should make. Because right now, the popular thing to make is superhero movies. And then horror movies will always be that niche thing. And then I kind of was seeing a trend and rise in like religious and like Western content. But hybrid movies, which were movies with like real people and then animation, like, Bugs Bunny and then a real person, I feel like these are type of movies that would really become popular. because you can make them really, really funny. You can make them really, really bizarre. You can make it really, really tragic, dramatic, romantic, all these different things. But I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that thinks this because I'm gonna try this once I start to, get the resources to do so. But I feel like if you're a filmmaker or like a storyteller, this is something that you should really consider. That being said, Space Jam is a really fun movie. I would say it's like the epitome of a fun movie. How does a movie become so popular and so beloved when, if you think of it on paper or on the surface, it stars an athlete, one of the greatest athletes of all time, who's doing acting and interacting with these things that aren't real? Like, on paper, that sounds like a very risky move, but like, clearly it has made its staple in Hollywood and in pop culture. Looney Tunes is one of those things, just like Tom and Jerry, Scooby Doo, SpongeBob, that a lot of people, not just in Western civilization, but all across the world, have really you know, grown fond of. And I, I've always told myself I will always, and I mean always. I'm not one of those people that thinks oh, I have to be an adult, therefore I can't indulge in this, that, and the other. It's like, come on, dude. Like, just be yourself. Um, I just think Looney Tunes. I religiously go back and watch Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry. When I'm in the festive mood, when I'm on a weekend, when I'm bored at nighttime, because I just love these things. You know, I'm sure there's some person, right, man or woman, who's like, is he in Peter Pan syndrome? Like, this, why didn't you grow up with like all this other stuff? It's like, dude, listen, listen to me, come here. Now, that was me simulating me smacking them across the face, because who is anyone to tell anybody what they can and can't watch? And who are you, the judge? I know, and like, people want to say Peter. When people say Peter Pan syndrome, I think that's just an excuse to like just punch down at somebody. I think a lot of people in pop culture who love the pop culture atmosphere and are enthusiasts themselves understand this. I'm gonna be honest. There's like four groups in there's four groups in all of society that I don't like. It's the postmodernists, the Marxist people, the crazies. It's the H is youth, if you understand what H means. Like, think of the wars in the past, right? There's the adult validators, and then there's the people who are just always like, um, who always think like everything has to be political. Like, everything is political. All movies are political. No, they're not, right? So with Space Jam, um, the things that I think really goes for it is, I think it gives every character, both Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes and the bad guys, perfect amount of screen time. Not too much, not too little. Even all the side characters and the extras and backgrounds, it gives them perfect amount of screen time. This is another movie that I've always said, even though I was just speaking about adult validators, who's like, they always want to act like, oh, I can't do anything because I have to be an adult. This is one of those movies that I've never ever heard anybody ever talk bad about, ever. And just like many other movies, here's the thing. This is an observation. I'm going to point out something that I've never ever heard anyone say, but I think a lot of people have thought this. Okay, in Hollywood and in pop culture, people say that Citizen Kane is considered the greatest movie ever made, and I'm like, when I hear that, I think to myself, no. Listen, clearly art is subjective, right? But to make the bold statement that Citizen Kane is the greatest movie ever made, I would argue that three movies that are would be in like the top 10 like running for like the greatest movie ever made would be like Spider-Man 2, any Star Wars movie that, like, probably Empire Strikes Back, or like even something as a big as an event like Avengers Infinity War, which is more of an event, so it's kind of like, a specialized category. I've seen Citizen Kane, guys. I'm gonna be honest, it's not a good movie. This is my opinion. Some people might think it's good. I just don't think it's a good movie. But to say it's like the greatest movie ever made, you're pushing it, bro. You're pushing it. I would say Space Jam is a better movie than Citizen Kane is. Now, if anyone who ever hears me say this on this review is like, well, this, that, and the other, and just wants the rebuttal for the sake of rebuttaling, please spare me the headache. But like, I think a lot of people who are pop culture junkies like me would agree that Space Jam was probably a better movie than Citizen Kane. What is Citizen Kane better because it has the fancy acting? The some of these movies have like this really fancy dialogue, and you don't even like they said like a whole paragraph, and you don't even understand what the heck they said. Looking at you, Downtown Abbey. That's a TV show. And The Crown too. Oh, there's gonna be some girl who's gonna be like, "What the frick? I love that show." So, yeah, things I think this could have done better. I think Space Jam. It's not even particularly that the movie could have done better. I think Space Jam would have really, really benefited from having a sequel. Bear with me. Bear with me. This might be an unpopular opinion. I think it would have benefited from having a sequel. Not the sequel that was with LeBron James, because that one was terrible. But it should have had a sequel that was still starring Michael Jordan. That should have came out not too long after this one came out. And it should have had a little more what's the term? You could have like done like a revenge like plot or storyline, or like done like an abandonment thing. Because if you haven't seen this movie, you should watch this movie, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. Because the spoiler alert, the bad guys lose, and they should have came back. But if they wouldn't have come back, Looney Tunes is such a wonderful and like expressionist world to live in. It's honestly like one of one of the things that marks me like with like if I like a franchise or IP or not is I always ask myself, do I want to live in this world? Looking at you, Star Wars. Looking at you, Cowboy Bebop. Um, and the aliens are just random things that came out or just came to Earth, and they were just made up. They were never ever part of this Looney Tunes lore before. No, in the sequel, whether you would have brought them back or done like a new type of like characters or other Looney Tunes, because when we think of Looney Tunes, we think of like the usual suspects like Bugs Bunny, Daffy, Porky, Gossamer, all these people, Lola. They're not the only Looney Tunes that exist. So that means there has to be thousands, if not millions, of them that live on the planet. So you could have done a whole thing where it could have been like, I don't know how old I forgot how old is Bugs Bunny. I need to look that up, like lore wise. Bugs, how old is Bugs Bunny in Space Jam? Which means he's Bugs Bunny is the same age in Space Jam 2 as he is in the original Space Jam. Well, that didn't answer the question. All I know is Bugs Bunny does not look his age, if I'm correct. I don't know if he's his 20s, 30s, or 40s or whatever. But you could have done a whole thing of like when they went to high school, or when they like you had their old friend groups, or all this different stuff. I think Looney Tunes. There's a couple franchises that like I feel like people need these people or these studios that are irresponsible should capitalize on, because there's a lot of stories to tell and a lot to indulge in. And I think Looney Tunes is one of those things. I remember I used to have the Looney Tunes box set, the Bugs Bunny one that I used to watch when he was like in the baseball stadium. Classical stuff. And so, do I really think there's anything that this movie could have done good? I mean, let's be honest, the acting is not that good, but it's not. It's like a shoulder shrug. It's fine. I mean, the voice acting is amazing, but I'm just talking about like the regular people. But Space Jam, what would I give it? Ooh, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 seems fair. 7 out of 10 seems accurate.